All right, code review 5, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to start in the API customer controller class. First thing we do is we create our context, application DB context, like we've done before in the previous customers controller. And here is the get function for getting all of the customers. What we do is we create an IEnumerable list of customer. Well, I guess I should explain this first. We create up here a customer DTO class, a data transfer object, to so that the API doesn't have direct access to the code. And it's exactly the same as the normal customer class, but we use it for here. This is how we obfuscate it. We use mapper to map all the customer and movie data to their respective DTOs from domain to DTO here, and then we do the reverse. Down here we create a map from the DTO, the data transfer object, to the main object, and if it has an ID we use it. If not, it's optional here. That's what is optional. We just ignore it. Yeah, I'll get to that. So here we get in a list of the customer data transfer objects, or this is what we're using. Yeah, this is our function name get customers. We return a list of customers, and then we map all the customer data to the customer DTO data. So what they're looking at is the customer DTO. They're not looking at the actual customer data, but I mean it is like a copy. It's just all the data is mapped to here. So, which is more useful for posting and updating, which we'll get to. And this is to get a specific customer instead of getting an IEnumerable list. We just pass an ID value and return just the single customer. Yeah, we create the customer variable, which is just the context of the customer, and then we map all the customer data to the customer DTO and return this customer here and show that. So here's where it gets interesting with the post action. We have a create customer function where we will get a customer DTO object, and if the model state isn't valid, we just return bad request. And then we create a variable customer and we map the customer DTO. So this is we're creating a customer, so we're taking the customer DTO that we are inputting, and this time we map the data transfer object to the actual customer, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're wanting to permanently create this customer, so we take the DTO, map it to the actual, like, real customer that we use, and then we add them and save the changes. Then we return to them the URL of whatever the new customer that was just created, just so they can see that the changes were affected. Here we have our put function to update customers, so we'll take an ID and a customer DTO, and if the model state isn't valid, we throw that bad request. And here we create a variable for the customer in the database, which is just whatever customer ID that we're wanting to change. And if it's not found, we just throw another error. Then we map the customer DTO to the customer, because we're gonna save this change and use in the customer data transfer object. We'll transfer to the customer in the database. So we save over that. This is just the reverse of what we were doing up here. And then we can delete a customer. We just get an ID, get the customer in the database, yada yada yada, throw an error if it's not found, and we just remove it and then save the changes. So this doesn't really have anything to do with our data transfer objects. We just let them delete it. But yeah, and then what else was I gonna go over? I went over that. Yeah, this is just for how we view on the other side of the API what things will look like. So we format in JSON using camel case, indent everything, just make everything look nice. And it'll use the URL template of API, controller, and ID. Just so very similar to what we have in our main program that isn't the API. We just have the model and then the controller and then the ID. But here we'll use API. So yeah, I think that's really it. I think it's pretty cool to do things that way where you have the data transfer object and the actual object, kind of separated. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's it really.